Here's Brody Brazil.
Okay, full honesty here. I don't even want to be making this video right now. It's one of those situations where my heart says, do you have to be doing this? And my brain says, well, if you really love the Sharks, then you absolutely should talk a little bit about this. Who is going to be the next captain of the San Jose Sharks? And yeah, I mean, like, after Logan Couture for whatever reason, whenever that situation presents itself. And actually, like, we're going to have to start this video by stopping this video. Let's pause right here. At this point, the Sharks have a captain. It's Logan Couture. And I've always liked him. I've always enjoyed the way he plays. I've always enjoyed him as a leader on this team, his style, his effort. I think it speaks for itself more than he actually speaks, maybe for himself or the team. But Logan just went through what I think, and I know, was his roughest pro season. He only played 6 games with the injury, tried to come back from it, played, couldn't sustain, had to sit out the rest of the season. I know how much this eats at him, and I'm not here to kick somebody while they're down. That's not it. I feel for Logan. I think he should be the captain so long as he is part of this team and around this team. Like, there's no reason for me to move on this away from Logan Couture right now. And that's my next point. There's no urgent need for the Sharks to do anything here. There's nothing pressing. We're not trying to cause a controversy or stir up commotion. This is literally to say, at some point down the road, what will they do? What's on the forefront right now? Are there any candidates emerging? We'll talk about that right now. There's no obvious candidates right now. As far as I can see, there might be people who you think could pan out in that role in however many years. But then again, you don't know how many more years Logan Couture is on the Sharks and whether he gets traded, whether at some point calls it a career, but he's got several more years under contract. So again, this literally pains me to go down this road. And it's like contemplating the end of your own life. It's going to happen for all of us. And at some point, Logan Couture will no longer be a player on the San Jose Sharks. At some point. I'm not here to rush that. So that's what I'm going to tell my heart in this one. I'm not here to rush it. I'm only here to talk about what eventually might come next. Logan is definitely not on the front 9 of his career. So the eye is just on emergence. I think that's the best way to put it in this video. I'm not trying to make anything happen. I just want to keep my eyes open to what's emerging. The Sharks clearly are not a finished product as a team right now. The pipeline is getting stacked. The number 1 overall draft pick is going to be Macklin Celebrini. The Sharks also have the 14th pick, they have the 33rd pick, and they have the 42nd pick. So 4 picks in the first 42 in 2024. Not to mention the last couple years of very high draft picks. And you know what? Depending on how this season goes at the NHL level, they might have some more high picks in next summer's draft. So the pipeline is going to be great, but the Sharks as an NHL finished product, they are nowhere close right now. That's going to take some time. It's forming nicely. It's got all the right directions going, but it's still going to take some time. At some point, eventually, it would be nice to have several captain candidates. And so people will look at a young William Eklund right now, which I think is not fair. They might even look at a Mario Ferraro right now, but I don't know what his long-term future in San Jose is going to be. And it's no disrespect or offense to somebody else I like in Mario, but you just don't know what the team's timing is going to be with the sequence of his career and contractually, like, whatever comes next. I'm just saying that at some point down the road, in the same way that Logan Couture emerged in 2009, you could tell he was always one of those players while Joe Thornton was captain, while Rob Blake was captain, while Patrick Marleau was captain, while Joe Pavelski was captain. You could kind of see that Logan Couture was a player in the pipeline, then was a player on the Sharks who would emerge and be that type of guy. And this is another reason why all of this kind of trips me out. Yeah, I mean, I literally covered Logan's first season in the NHL. And now we're here talking about who might succeed him as Sharks captain. Again, this is not a comfortable conversation to have, but I think it's sensible. Like I said, if you really care about the Sharks, all you want to do is start keeping your eye open for whoever else might emerge out there in the same way that Logan did. during those other captaincies. In terms of the next Sharks captain, and I realize the timing of their franchise and when they really hope to be back on track, still a couple years off. You're building towards those couple years away from right now. And so if there is that sequence of, all right, Logan is moved on or Logan is in some other situation, I'd almost rather have no captain for the Sharks than have some awkward bridge captain. And bridge, I mean like, well, we know player X is good to do this for the next 2 years, but then we also have somebody else who is going to take their spot. Like, you don't want to put somebody in that role knowing that they're only sitting in the chair to keep it warm for somebody else. You don't really want to have that bridge situation. I would rather avoid that at all costs. I think the next Sharks captain is somebody who you hope has long-term affiliations with San Jose. I mean, you obviously want a captain for the long term. You want to keep them. You want to have them on a 5, 6, 7-year commitment when you give them the C, or you think about giving them the C. You also obviously need a player who leads by example, so this can't just be somebody who gets all the attention. They have to be a good player, just like we saw Logan was a good player when he was up and coming. Also somebody who has good influence in the room and is respected by the next core of Sharks players, and this is what makes it difficult. You don't even entirely know right now who is that next core of players. And that's why I'm saying here and now, it's impossible today to determine, oh, we can see that player coming. Maybe in the next 1 to 2 to 3 years, you'll see that player coming. But I don't think right now there's any obvious candidates for that job. There are people who could do it if they were pressed into that position, no doubt. But I don't think anybody would be optimal right now or optimal for the long term of this franchise and what you hope happens with the next group. There are some other considerations to think about. The next incoming head coach, we don't even know who that's going to be yet. They will likely have the largest impact on the next captain, probably helping choose that person, being favorable or not towards that person, having a really good relationship with the captain. It's a very important connection, head coach and NHL captain. At that level, there's so much conversation that goes back and forth about practice days, what the players need. Your captain is almost like a representation of players to your team and your head coach and your coaching staff. It's a very important connection. The Sharks have gone through some interesting captain situations in the last couple decades. They had no captain in the 2014-15 season. That was right after it was taken away from Joe Thornton. The team decided to have 4 alternates that year instead of a C. And then they also had a one-season captain. That was Rob Blake. That was kind of a transitional, again, situation that I just don't know the Sharks really want to put themselves in that spot again. And Rob Blake was great, but Rob Blake was only the captain for that 1 year, 09-10, I want to say. And then the Sharks had 3 seasons earlier in their existence of multiple captains. They split the season up, or they alternated captains. I'd rather not repeat any of those situations. Again, don't do something unconventional. I said it before. I'd rather almost just have no captain than a bridge captain or somebody who's just keeping the seat warm. So again, there's no rush to do any of this. There's nothing pressing. There's nothing urgent. I don't want to upset Logan. I know I'm not doing that in this case because I'm trying to speak this out sensibly. As long as he is on the Sharks, 39, he's the captain. I don't care if he's playing or injured or coming back from injury or whatever he's doing. He has earned this right to be the captain of this team. But if the career takes him elsewhere, or whatever happens in the next handful of years, maybe his contract plays out, he's done playing, he can retire happily and comfortably after the contract is done, that's fine. At that point, you're starting to think about, well, who's the captain? But you can't just figure it out on the spot. That's why I'm saying in these next couple years, it's maybe time to consider who's out there, who might fit that role, because you don't want to arrive at that situation and not have any idea of how it's going to go, just in the way that Joe Pavelski was an obvious captain when he was named to that post, and Logan Couture was as well, too, after Pavelski's departure, and it was his turn. So just some things to think about. Again, I'm going to take a breath. I'm glad this one was over. It was not fun or easy. but it's prudent to start thinking about. You made it here to the end of this video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me in this video, in this channel. And you know I'd love to see you back here next time. So make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button. You know I'd really appreciate that too. See you next time.